Okay, so this is another episode of learning about GemCut Studio or GCS. So I'm starting a tutorial series. I'm going to do these all as live streams basically. And so if there's any weird pauses or anything in the live stream, it's because I'm doing that for editing purposes later. One sec. Okay. So yeah, so this first one is going to be orientation to what GemCut Studio is, what it does, um, who makes it, where to get it, as well as the cost and the system requirements. Then going to go over the 3D view, the instruction list, the materials panel, menu bar, naming regions, and not a deep dive, but just cover the user interface is essentially will be the end of the orientation. So where to find it, how much it costs, and then just the basic UI of the app. That'll be the orientation. So let's go ahead and switch over here. So if you go to gemcutstudio.com, or if you just Google GemCut Studio, so it'll be this first link right here. So this is the main website. You can click around. There's some good documentation here. Once you get into it a little bit more on in the user manual and a few other articles and tutorials. To purchase, we can click right here. So there's also a 30-day trial, which I recommend using to kind of play around with it, and you can use the full thing. And yeah, the license is $99. So honestly, great price for if you want to be into GemCut designing. There's a lot you can get done with this program. So, and I'm hoping to get through that in these tutorials. So this is where you buy it. Like I said, you can download it with a license, a 30-day license. They have it for, it's cross-platform, so you can run it on PC or Mac. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's developed by a single person, and they live in Australia, Raj. But yeah, so we can see that is pretty much it for thing. I think system requirements wise, as long as you have a pretty modern computer, I think it should be fine. Okay, so there we go. So that is the overview of the site. So what is GemCut Studio? GemCut Studio is a program that allows you to design and test gemstone cuts. So future lessons will go into exactly what that means, but essentially, like, before having this kind of software to figure out what something might look like, or if something was a good design or bad design, or what the light return of a design might be in a given material, you would, and there are predecessors to this, but before software to do this in general, you would have to cut it yourself. You'd have to cut it in the material you wanted, which might be expensive or hard to find. So this is a computer-aided design that allows you to simulate what the gemstone will look like in different materials and build a set of instructions so that you can reliably reproduce that when you're at your faceting machine cutting. So let's look at GemCut Studio. So let's see here. Should have try this again here. Okay. Some small technical difficulties. All right, let's try this. I'm still getting used to OBS, and there's this thing that happens where like these settings transfer across, you know, like instances of applications. So that was showing out like this. I don't know what this is all about. Like, why is it showing it like that? Oh, that's probably why. Okay, there we go. All right, that was my bad. Let's get this rolling back in here. Oops. Just kind of center this and unlock that. There we go. Okay. So GCS, let's lock those in for now. So when you open GemCut Studio, this is the screen you're gonna see when you boot it up. Actually, I take that back. If I go into preferences, I think probably you might see this. I don't actually know if dark or light mode is the default. I always use it in dark mode, so honestly this is looking very foreign to me, but I'm just going to switch that back for now because it's a little easier to see with the dark mode. So what you will see is 3 windows here. So you have on the left your instructions window. This is effectively going to be the thing, part of what you'll get as a printed out sheet that'll contain all the instructions that you can use to replicate this design faithfully on your faceting machine. So these are just kind of like default. These aren't really instructions. It's, you know, it's just kind of what pops in here by default. Anyway, so then in this window we have design, which is going to show sort of like the live view of what you're cutting. And then if we go down here, let me change this to something more opaque maybe. Yeah. And then down here in the bottom, in the render window, is where you can pick a material and a lighting method, and it'll basically show you a simulation of what it might look like. So this is just a cube, so it doesn't look that exciting. But yeah, and all of these windows up here in the right corner of each one, you can maximize them. If you want some more room, same thing with the design, and you get a few more things that pop up here. And in the render, when you go in here, you get all this whole menu, lots of other features. There we can look like that. So that is the main 3 windows. Let's see what else we should go over. Yeah, we've got the render with the 3D view, the design area, and the instructions. So then we can just go through the top menu here. You have pretty standard file menu. You can create a new one. You can open a design, save. You can export designs, and you can print. So you might occasionally export. This would be to export it to another type of gem cutting file, or you can export them as an STL or an object file, or even an Autodesk file. I have used the STL one before, but the most common one you're going to use when you're in here is going to be print, which will give you your nice, in this case it's really not showing much, but your nice design diagram that you can print out with, that you can then take over to your faceting machine, or if you have, a screen nearby, you can leave it up on the screen. And I should say, let's go here. Okay. Sorry, when I clicked print, so this is what you'll actually see. It'll open up in whatever your current browser, default browser is, and it generates on the fly a PDF. This one isn't that exciting because there's not really any actual design, but you'll be using that one a lot. Okay. Back to the software. So that's the file menu. And you have an edit menu, which has some cool stuff we won't go into right now. Maybe the one here I showed is preferences, which are just sort of application preferences. So you can choose the print, which that screen I just showed you, there's actually two kind of designs. The modern one, which is what I keep it on, but the classic one's slightly different. So I'll show that here. I never use this, but it's just kind of arranged a little bit differently than, let's go back and forth. So here's the modern one. And also this is missing stuff because I don't have any of a lot of the metadata is missing and it's not an actual thing. So maybe I'll go over that. I'll load an actual design up, but this is what the more classic design I think from GemCAD was. So you have the ability to print in that one also. Okay, so back to the edit menu and preferences. So that's the print layout. I'll go back to modern. I think I already showed this, but you have light and dark themes. I've never messed with the accent tint, but I guess that's kind of cool. I always just leave it sort of at this default yellow, but you can change that. The angle display precision is going to be over here on your instructions. Most machines are not going to go above 2 decimals, even if they say they do. So the standard is just to leave it at 2. And I guess you can use System Open Dialog, and Designs folders is another important area. This is where you kind of like your default save and open locations are for GemCAD Studio. So next we have View. These kind of just do the same thing that clicking on the various things here would. It's just another way to get to them. Full screen, yeah. So nothing too crazy there. And tools, we won't go over these right now, but these are the things that are infinitely useful. So you can optimize performance. You can do like estimates on what your yield might be. This light path viewer is really good for sort of like debugging light paths. You can see like, why is this part of the gem kind of look like it has a lot of head shadow or darkness. And then Cutting Assistant is cool because, and you may actually, a lot of people use Cutting Assistant while they're cutting because it will step you through the stuff. But we won't go over that right now. This is just the orientation. So that's the tools, and then help, pretty self-explanatory. Some help options there. Yeah, so I think that covers everything for the orientation. Again, and maybe I'll go into this a little bit deeper, but so in the design, actually, you know what? Let's open an actual design because that'll be more helpful. So let's go to, sure, why don't we do this one? We designed this one recently. Okay. So now you can actually see it with a design. This is one I actually did on a live stream and that I'm cutting currently for a Montana Sapphire. So to go back through the areas, now you can see there's actual instructions that I filled out here with actual cutting. So this is what, when you have a completed design, what the instructions will look like. It shows the angle, the indexes, and the optional instructions there to guide you while you're cutting it. Also, if we do the print here, you can see this is more what an actual design once it's finished would look like when you print it out. So you've got everything filled out and this 4 different views and your instructions. Sorry, I keep forgetting to switch that. Okay. So once again, this is what an actual design that's finished would look like if you print it out. Much more filled out and useful. So yeah, that's the instruction area. There's some features in here. Obviously, you can edit a tier. You can delete a tier very easily. Also, undo and redo, or Control Z, Control Y. Those all work just fine. You can make a tier frosted. You can show and hide a tier. So if you want to hide one temporarily, fidget around with something else and then add it back in. That's pretty much it. This is a pretty simple area of the instructions. The design area is, again, I don't go in here often unless I'm doing some specific designs, especially things with low symmetry, where I want to come in and just delete like a single facet or a couple facets for whatever reason. I'm not going to do that here. You can also get just the wireframe, which isn't very visible with this dark background I have, but you can see the hidden lines. Get rid of the wireframe. Just some different views, and I guess from here I didn't know you can frost facets from this view. That's kind of cool. The big one here is the render window. So this is where you're going to see, in theory, what your gemstone might look like. It's not perfect. The random one is what most people stick with. It, on average, is the closest to what you're going to see. But we won't go into all these, but there's all these cool lighting models, and I even have some custom ones in here. It's really easy to make a custom lighting model in GCS. But here's where you can pick from, and again, you can also extend this, which I have with extra materials, but you can say, like, what would that look like in Tsavorite Garnet or Cubic Zirconia? You can see, like, these materials are quite different. Peridot. So here you can mess with preset materials. You can make you can make your own settings, which is cool, but you're generally going to be cutting in something with a known, properties. So Danburite, Spinella, Sapphire. So I'm going to go back to just colorless Sapphire. I think I had it in. So yeah, that is those areas. I'll hit the rest of the just things that you can see. I won't go from too much here. We have the index. So this is where you would set your index wheel that you're using, and you can set your defaults here. Mode, generally you're going to be doing symmetrical here for like the indexes that you're selecting, but you can arbitrarily just type in, I want to cut at 5 and 17 and 33, and then okay, that's where I'm cutting in those 3 random spots, but generally you're going to be doing symmetrical. Like these are all, so you can see symmetrical, symmetry 4, mirror 5, and again, we won't go into that right now, but this is how you control those settings. And then all the way on the right side here is your sort of like cutting controls. So you can control your depth, you can control your angle of the cut that you're doing. You can do, on both these, you can do fine. So if you really want to just creep up on things, gives you a little more control. You can do this on the crown or the pavilion. And we won't go into that right now, but that'll be a later lesson. You can also There's a jump thing here that jumps you to the next meet point, and cancel. And I think that is everything in the UI. Cool. So that will be a wrap for the Tier 1 orientation. Yeah, that will do it. So thank you. And hopefully I'll be able to edit this into a episode or two, and it'll be helpful. Thank you, and subscribe.